Right then, I'm just going to plug my clippers in. Okay. So what I'm going to do first, because the clippers are not the most amazing clippers in the world, they are the Super Tapers. I think most people get in their kits. They are corded as well. So what I'm doing through here is I'm just going to lift the hair up and cut it off basically, so I can blend the clippers through without it chewing the hair up too much. So I'm just lifting the hair. And I'm taking some of the length away. I'm not taking it too short, I'm leaving a good sort of 4 inches through it, because the clippers will get through that, but if the hair's too long, it's just going to chew through it and it's going to be quite uncomfortable for your client. So I'm just removing the bulk basically. And again, we don't have to do anything too technical through here because we're going to be completely clipping it off anyway. I'm just making sure that my clippers are going to get through this. So through this whole area, I'm going to go and clipper on a 3.5. So I am going to take it quite short. So when you put your guard head on, and that's a 3, you've got a lever on the side of your clippers, and when you open that lever up, it takes it to a 1/2. So I'm opening that lever up. I'm going to get the client to look forward, and then I'm going to run the clipper through the hair. And I'm just keeping it in a real soft C motion as I'm going through the hair, lifting some of it away so it helps get the clipper through. So the clippers are still having a slight hard time getting through some of the length in here, so I'm just going to go back over it and remove a bit more bulk. So the sectioning that I put in prior to this then, like I said, I've swapped the parting over, and then I've just guided it round from what would be sort of the temple, like the bottom of the temple area round here at the circumference of the head. And I guided that round so it's level on both sides. So just removing a bit more bulk with my scissors before I go back in to clipper it again. Right, hopefully that'll be good enough. So as I'm working my way to the top edge, I'm keeping the C motion going, so I'm flicking the wrist at the top, and this is just going to keep that a bit softer. So with clippering, you want to work with the hair growth. If you've got any nape whorls around the bottom, you want to work with them. So I'm going to do all my clipper work first. So I'm just working that 3.5 all the way through, and I'm just checking back over what I've done. Making sure it's all neat and well balanced. So from there, I'm going to do 2 fingers down the head, and I'm going to go in now at a 3. So I'm going to close my guard up. I'm just going to remove some of the hair that's in the clipper. So I'm just going to work my way now with a 2 finger space into a 3. So just to guide myself through, it's going to be just above where the occipital bone sits. And again, as I get to that area, I'm just going to keep flicking my clipper in that C motion, keeping it really soft. And then from here, I'm going to take this guard off. Again, remove some of the hair that's caught in. Going to pop my 2 on. Check it is 2. And I'm now going to look at doing 2.5, so reopening up my clipper again. So I've gone down 2, so I'm now going to go down 3 fingers into the hair, which you can just see. So I'm working. Oh, Fairy, stop talking to me. Let me take a watch off. So from the top hairline that we put in, I'm now going to go down to 3 fingers. And same motion, going in then with the 2.5, completely flicking it out. So 3 fingers from here is to the top of the ear. So I'm not taking this into the side of the head at all. And what we're doing is we're just blending our clipper lengths into one another. So you have to keep the clipper work really soft to make sure you're flicking it out as you come up and through. I'm then going to close my clip guard up to a 2, and I'm going to work down to the middle of the ear where 4 fingers would sit, okay? And I basically then just fading this whole back section out. Now I've worked my way through all of that section. I'm going to take the 2 off and I'm going to pop my 1 on. Again, I'm going to open it up so it's a 1.5 by pulling the lever down. I'm going to go in then to sort of the bottom 1.5 inch of the head and flick that motion up again. Just working all the way through the bottom. And once I've done that, I'm just going to go around the bottom part of the head on a true 1. Just working that in. So from here, just going to dust the head off. I'm just going to look down the side and make sure I've got no ridges at all, and that's flowing really nicely into each other. So we've gone into this top section then at a 3.5, into a 3, a 2.5, a 2, a 1.5, and then a 1, and that's created a really soft fade through that back area. We've kept it to a 3 at the bottom of the ears through the sides, and we'll just tidy those up with the clippers. So just going to take my 1 off, just going to hold the comb here, and anything that protrudes that bottom section I'm just going to take away. And that's just going to neaten those little areas up. I'm just going to follow it round with the clippers, making sure it's away from the ear line and it's nice and clean. Just going to do the same on this side. Lovely. Right then, so that's all our clipper work done. I'm just going to remove the bulk of hair from the floor. So from here, what we want to do then is start working in at the back, bringing the head up. Obviously what this is going to show off is a few of the colour bands that we did from the star colour. I completely wetted the head down first, so I might need to respray it where it's been pinned up. I've also got my radiator on today, it's been so cold in here. I'm going to have to take it off now. Right. So I'm just going to balance this back section up now. But obviously we still want it to overhang, because we're creating like this undercut fashion look here. So I'm just moving my clips completely out the way. So through this section we're going to create lift in here, which we already did put in from having a few layers through the top, but we're going to now take this a bit shorter. and we're going to create that it falls straight over the rest of the head. So we're not graduating it in, we want to leave it hanging over. We want to leave this quite disconnected. So having a bit of height through the top, that's where I'm going to start. So I'm going to start in the middle of the section. I'm just going to pull this hair straight up and out of the head. So at 90 degrees from here, elevated straight from the root and coming up. Okay, and I'm just going to follow that through that top section. So I've created my guide now, bringing it up to 90. I'm going to pull the hair out the way I can see my guide showing through. And I'm going to now work to this side. So as we work over to the left side, it's shorter anyway, so there's not as much hair to come off. Hopefully now when I pick up this top section, I can just check that it's fitting much more symmetrical through there. I'm not cutting anything off this section, I'm just seeing the angle through it, because this has already been cut and we need to now balance it up to the other side. I'm just stretching this section out, seeing the angle that's in there, so it's pulling out from the new layer that we've put in, and it's coming down the hair here. So I want to create that then into the longer side. So I'm just going to follow that through. And then I'm going to check that it doesn't need any more off. I'm just going to check that the length of it's quite good, quite balanced. This side's still slightly longer, and I'd always rather go back in and cut it again than take too much off. So again, keeping my sections nice and clean, working my way through it. Right, so now those two sides, balance up. So what we're now doing, so we've got the two balances on the sides falling over, and now I'm just going to keep this rounded at the back, so I'm just going to follow this through to meet in the middle. So again, following the shape of the head like we did on the asymmetric cut, I'm pulling the hair down and I'm following how the head flows into the centre. So if you banded this off and around, I'm just going to follow that through. And again, I'm going to work my way side to side, knowing I've got a lot more coming off this side. I just want to make sure I'm getting the balance. Right balance in the hair. So again, every section I'm doing, I'm stood parallel to the back of the head, and I'm pulling those sections down and making sure they're even. Again, this side's slightly longer, so I'm just going to go back in and take a little bit more off that section. So through this back centre, I'm just going to point cut it so it's a little bit softer. So I pulled everything around as the head would band, and then I've made sure it's nice and balanced as I've gone through. So through here now, what I'm going to do is connect up, without taking too much of the bulk away, the new length that's falling through to the new layer that we created. So anything that has a triangle in the hair is a white line. So I'm just going to work my way through. I'm going to let the bulk fall down, which is sitting over the head, and then I'm just going to take this triangle section out. And again, I'm going to point cut all of this, and I'm point cutting it just so it gives a little bit more texture as we work through. Again, letting the hair fall down, knowing that there's not going to be quite so much to come out on the left as what there will be on the right, because again, how it was cut prior to this. And I'm working every section that I'm picking up, I'm moving with it. I'm not just standing in one place, or I'm moving the doll's head rather than my feet. So again, just lifting that section away, letting all this fall through, and then taking that triangle out. So I had a few suggestions come through from you about more things you would like to see. One of them was hair up, so like bridal styles and things like that. So I'm going to work on a few videos for that for Wednesday. Where is that very long hair coming from? There we go. But if anybody else has got any more suggestions for things they'd like to see, then please let me know. So I've just worked from the new layer that we created to the new length and just taken some weight out. So it's just a bit softer through here. So if they want to style it and they want to wear it over, it's not too weighted that it has to sit so heavy. So now I'm going to work the left side down, because this is the shorter side, knowing how much we're keeping through here. So then we can match up the longer side. The other thing I created, I think Alicia sent out to a few of you, and I'll attach into the group after, is I've created some home sheets that you can print out and that you can draw these angles and stuff on. So if you want to write them down as we're going, or you want to copy them onto a bit of paper so you've got to keep so you're not just keeping all my photos, blocking up your memory on your phone and stuff, then you can do that as well. Okay, so this is kind of what we're aiming for. I'm just going to take off these overhanging hairs that are just sitting through here. I don't know if you can see them, they're just very wispy bits. And that's from where I've dragged the parting over. So I'm just going to pull that section through. And I'm just going to take those wispy areas off. Okay, so I'm going to leave that side really heavy for the moment. And then once we've cut this length in, I'm going to go in and texturise it. So as we can see, this area is falling through from here. It's coming just up over the ear, and then we've got the length coming down from the fringe or through here. So it's quite an angled, heavy line, which I'm going to recreate on this side. So I'm starting this off longer than what I'm thinking it's going to be, so I can go back in, measure it, and then I know how much more I've got left to take off. So knowing that that's all longer through there, I'm just going to feel the difference between each side. Okay, I'm just going to show you this then, if I can get it. So this front section, as I'm pulling it down, they're sitting fairly evenly, to be fair. This section, I'm going to pull that down. I can see that this one's stopping here, but this one's travelling down quite a bit further. So I know this very front section I don't really want to take much off, so I'm going to work from this section back up, taking a bit more out of there then. Again, for the moment, I'm keeping this quite soft and I'm point cutting it. So we know that these back pieces are really balanced. So I'm working that everything's meeting this. I'm not taking anything more out of this area because we've already checked that. So as this now comes and sits forward, it should just be a small amount through here that's coming off. So again, I'm just going to make sure I'm nice and balanced and even. That feels good. So does that. I can feel both sections here are finishing at the tip of that ear. I've got these sections just below. So yeah, I'm really happy that that's now nice and balanced between the two. And then from here, we're just going to put a nice bit of texture through it. So the majority of the haircut's done. We know it's all balanced and sitting nicely. We now just want to soften this up and also give it enough texture that they can wear it differently if they want to. Change it about, move the parting. If they want to have it quite conservative and sort of sitting into the hair, then they can. If they work you know, behind a till in Waitrose or something. I've done so many people's hair that work in Waitrose and coloured it, and they've had to come back and get it recoloured because it's not a normal colour. But, you know, so if they need to cover up the undercut a bit, they can. If they want to wear it a bit more funky and a bit more to their personality, they can also. So what I'm going to do is just going to comb this section a bit more forward, and where we put through the back here, this new layer, I'm just now going to work it into the front. So what I'm doing through here is from that back layer that we put in at the top, just see if you can see this, and then angling my fingers down at this angle. I'm picking up what is falling over this section here, and again I've got a triangle of a weight line, so I'm just taking that out, and I'm working my way vertically down, again taking it to the top section of the new layer, but also making sure some hair falls out that will cover that undercut. So we're just taking out what's in between. Now as we get into this front section, we're losing the hair that covers the undercut, so I'm going to go the opposite way. Just trying to show you the best. There we go. So I'm picking up this front section now then through here, that's falling onto the face, and we're working it back to this layer that we've already put in. So what I'm doing is I'm angling my fingers the other way, so I'm stretching all that front section forward and letting this fall out and down, and then I'm taking this triangle section that sits through this heavy top out, and I'm just bringing the two sections together through here. So this next front section, I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm lifting everything up, and I'm just letting all this weight through the front that's falling over the face and creating sort of that fringe and softness fall down, and I'm taking out what is in between the two. Again, I'm just trying to see if I can show you a better angle of that. So I picked up this front section and I brought my fingers down, so bringing it towards that crown area where we put the first layer in and taking out the weight that's between the two. Okay. And then I'm going to do exactly the same on this side. Okay, I'm just trying to show you at the best angle. So letting what's underneath fall out, so it's covering, and then through here, so this is our new layer to the top, just taking out this triangle in between. And again, it's going to be the same with this section here as what we were doing with the front ones. Just going to lift it all the way up so I got some of that length falling down, and then we're just going to take this heavy weight out in between. So this connects everything through the top up into the back and sides, and it's just taking all those heavy structural lines out. So basically when you